you know why you're here, but I'll just give you a quick reminder. Today, we are talking all about how to give every client an extraordinary experience and how to stand out in a saturated market and sell. So we are so excited. It's going to be me. So I'm Mac. I'm part of our product education team here, and I'll be co-hosting today with Ashlyn Carter, who I'm so excited to invite on screen. In a couple minutes, I want to go through a couple little housekeeping items before I get her up here. So first of all, if you guys aren't familiar with this platform, we're using Crowdcast today. So if you have any audio or visual issues while we're kind of going through things, actually the best way to fix it is just to go ahead and refresh the same page. You might also have to find an unmute button at some point to get the sound back when you refresh it. So yeah, go ahead and do that if it's ever causing any issues for you. Let's see what else. If you guys aren't familiar with HoneyBook, it is a business management platform aimed to help you streamline your processes, really kind of focused on everything from getting all your inquiries into the system, following up with them, collecting payment, getting contracts signed, questionnaires, really everything you need for your booking process and keeping everything in one place. So that's who is hosting this webinar today, if you guys didn't already know that. And then let's see what else, if I'm forgetting anything. I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to cover before I get Ashlyn up here. So I am going to go ahead and invite her up here. If you guys just bear with me a second. Cool. I am so excited for you guys to meet her. If you're not already familiar with her, she is like such a powerhouse, and we are so stoked to have her here today. So I really can't wait for you guys to meet her. If you don't already follow her on Instagram like I do, she's amazing. She's like one of those people who you're like, is she always that nice? And then you meet her and it's like, yep, she's definitely always that nice. So hey girl, how are you?
Hey, that is so sweet. I really hope the two sleeping German shepherds in my office also think I'm so nice when they may wake up and bark and I kick them out. So
oh my gosh, I love it. We're all just surviving right now.
Amen. Amen. Hey guys, this is so exciting.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to do a little intro, Ashlyn, or if you want to start sharing your slides. I can do a full screen for everybody.
All right, I'm going to pull that Chrome tab up. Matt, can you let me know if you can see everything okay?
It looks like we're seeing the presenter version. If you can pull up a different tab.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to try that. Uno, let's see, application window. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. How's that one?
Fabulous. It's
perfect. All right, guys. Well, I'm excited to jump in. Hey, everybody. I know that there are some people who may know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Ashlyn Carter and Mac and HoneyBook. I am so grateful for y'all. We literally use HoneyBook every single day in my business. I'm a copywriter. I definitely choose favorites. My favorites are creative entrepreneurs, just like you guys. 4 years ago, I was staring out from the floor to ceiling office of a corporate office that I worked in, itching to take my calligraphy and writing business full time. In 1 year, I replaced my corporate income, and I've gone on to bring in more than 7 figures in business. Writing copy and marketing copy for creative entrepreneurs. And guys, I am not saying any of that to, please hear my heart, not to brag. There is a ton in this world I know absolutely nothing diddly squat about, but when it comes to marketing copy, especially for this industry, I know what I'm talking about. So I am so excited to get to dig into this today and hopefully give you guys some tips. And I'm also bringing you kind of untraditionally, you're seeing some things that I don't really show on YouTube or anywhere else. Experience, you can kind of see how we use day to day. So what I want to do, our goal here today together, you guys are so sweet. And that's the rule. And Mac didn't say it, but I know she agrees. The rule is you must use the chat. So Deanne, Katie, Jessica, Crystal, you guys are doing great. Keep them coming. It's way more fun when we can all just chat. But what I want to talk to you about specifically is how to use your story in your sales copy, which is completely part of your website, all the copy and infrastructure there onto that onboarding process and working them through your sales funnel, because we really want to make that experience seamless and we want them to remember you. There we go. We've got that chat popping now. That's so fun. Okay, I also want to hear from you right now. Give me maybe just your emoji of choice if you have ever freaked out or hated the sales process of what we do. Growing up, I feel like everybody's parents taught them 2 rules, like don't talk to strangers, don't talk about money. And literally the sales process is both. You're talking to strangers about money. Rachel said 100%. Crystal frowned. I love it. I love it. Okay. A lot of us have felt like this before, but here is what I hopefully want you to walk away from this and start to understand that by tightening and focusing your marketing with a specific message, you're really going to be able to step into a leadership position with your clients. And maybe this, especially for those of you who are giving me all the frowny faces, the hate sales, I love it. I love it. Maybe you need to screenshot this for your background. It wouldn't be a good marketing talk if we didn't give some sort of Seth Godin nod in there, right? But essentially our purpose in coming alongside our potential clients, potential customers, is to help leave them better than we found them. And I feel like this wasn't even in my notes, but you know what? Is it Miracle on 34th Street where they say like, if we don't have it, we'll send you where they do, or something like that. I feel like if we can come into sales with that mindset too, like if we do this, great, we're the ones for the job. But if we don't, if this is not in our wheelhouse, we can help people understand the best place that they can go. Another quote I really like that kind of ties into marketing, how I want to talk about it today, is Maya Angelou quote. You've heard it before. I've learned that people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that's the opportunity that we have, especially as they interact with your brand so closely when they step into HoneyBook, step through your sales experience. So this brings us to the first big key that I want to talk through today. I want to talk about the different brand touch points that you have as you talk about your story. And I'm going to back up, maybe name some touch points right now in that chat box. I want to hear from you. What are some different touch points that your potential clients and customers have when they're interacting with your brand or potentially thinking about working with you? While y'all say that, I'm going to grab a little sip of water. Also, am I going at a good speed, Mac? Is this too fast? Do I need to slow down my talking? Or
I think you're good. I'm loving the energy. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So whatever feels comfortable, girl. You're all good.
Okay. I'm not seeing tons of comments come in right now, but
sometimes the chat takes a little while to.
Okay. Perfect. This is good. And I like it. Rachel said, give us an example of a touch point. Rachel, I feel like you're about to get an onslaught. Like, and Brandy, this is good. Instagram, website, any place where your clients are coming in contact with your brand. So like, yeah, here we go. Newsletters, Instagram, Facebook, website, a little fast. Got it, Sam. I'll slow my roll. You probably haven't met many fast talking Southerners. Website, inquiry. Got it, Lucy. Okay, these are great, great examples. The one thing that I want us to remember about all of these is that they have something tying them together, and that is your brand's positioning. I know I also educate a lot about how creatives, we're so drawn to the visual side of things. Like that is our knack. That is what the majority of us are good at. But that is also what science says. Most of our clients and customers, and because we absorb information visually. That's just how our brains work. So it's only natural that the visuals would be something that we would flock to. But what we need to recognize, and what I want to talk to you about here and hopefully give you some practical homework assignments, is in this first section, what undergirds all of that is the positioning. That is, if you can't tell me why you do what you do, the way you do it differently or better than somebody who does the same thing you do, especially somebody who does the same thing and charges less, we've got to camp out here. And this is major because this is going to, like I said, undergird everything in your business when it comes to messaging, storytelling, and getting everything out. I have coached thousands of people at this point through figuring that out. So if you're thinking right now, there's not anything about me that stands out, wrong. I can tell you what it is. We just have to work at it. But essentially, you have a monopoly on your story. Like nobody you do. So if you don't take anything else from me away when I'm talking about positioning, remember that. What I want you to do is try to figure out then where is that you-sized hole in the market, which you've probably already figured out because your business is at least far along that you're here today. But that is what we're then going to try to figure out and weave into our messaging. I call that with my students and clients your only miss factor. Like I said, why you do what you do, the way you do it, differently or better than somebody else who does the same thing. We've got to figure out that, and that's going to be what we weave into all of our touch points. I'm starting a little macro, okay, guys, and I'm going to zoom in to get some practical tips from you. But if I don't say this stuff, none of the rest of it's going to make sense, okay? So here's your first screenshotable slide. If you need something like a little homework assignment, I have 4 little power plays for you as you're starting to figure out this onlyness factor. This is quick and dirty because like I have a whole lesson with my students that we dive into this, but I want to give you at least something where you can walk away today and start to figure this out. If you can, and this is everything that I just repeated, so I'm not going to say it again, but I want you to work on this. It is hard. It is business push-ups. It's so much easier to play with your color palettes, to play with your brand imagery. This is the hard stuff, but this is the stuff that makes the difference. Branding is how you tell the story of your positioning. So everything we just talked about is that internal stuff that it's kind of like, who watches Fixer Upper too, or at least has seen the show? Tell me in the comments right now. Okay, Chip always does his demo day, right? They pull it down to the studs. They pull it way down. Business push-ups is right, Sandy. Once we get it down to the studs and we can figure out things, then Joanna gets to come in with the cool shiplap and the flowers and make everything different. Amen. Love that show. Okay, so what I'm talking to you right now is that scaffolding, okay? And then from there, we're going to build stuff on top of that. Okay, got it, guys. Thanks for the feedback. That always helps. So let's talk a little bit about messaging and voice, because no matter what part of HoneyBook you're working in, even if you don't use HoneyBook, no matter what part of your client experience, one thing that is not going anywhere fast is the writing process, right? You got to write that inquiry response. You got to write the booking email. You got to write the proposal. Everything has to be communicated to them. And a lot of what goes into that is your voice. And like I said, I'm not going to go too far into this now. I'm going to hand you over to a resource that can help you a little bit more. But just to drill down again, this is exactly what I was talking about, that your messaging and your copy is that scaffolding. It's that demo day and the brand visuals. Where are my graphic designers, my website designers, my photographers, my visual artists? Where are my people where your medium is visual? My floral designers, videographers, where you guys in the chat speak up, because this is you. Everything that you're doing is crafting that brand visuals. There you go, Rachel, that sit on top of those. If you haven't heard me say this before, and I say it in my YouTubes all the time, but copy dictate, I love it. Look, I see, guys, this is how I know I'm in the right place, because we've got so many visual people on. It's going so fast, I couldn't even spell the names if I wanted to, and that makes my heart calligrapher. Amanda used to do that for years. I love it. Okay. So here's the thing. Copy dictates design, not the other way around, okay? The message drives the design. The design's purpose, the visuals are the vehicle that pull everything through, okay? So just how that structure would still be a structure if it had no pretty shiplap or anything else like that around it. It's still standing, it's just not as good looking. That's what you designers and you visual people have. But what my goal here today is to really help you with that structural part, that onlyness factor, that brand messaging. So here is a homework assignment that I have for you to do if you've never done this before. I really want you to focus on mastering your brand's voice and putting that down on paper. So many of us look, I have my inspiration board right beside me. Like I keep this up nearby. So many of us have like our mood board or color palettes, these visual things that we love about our brand. But do you have a mood board for the words that describe your business? Do you have anything like that? If not, it is time to start making one. And like I said, it would be my dream to deep dive into this right now, but out of respect for everyone's time, I'm not going to do that. But I have a class I taught last week to about 5,000 people, awcopyclass.com. You can go to. And yes, like Sean, I deep dive into exactly what voice is. Essentially, your message is the what, your voice is on this, the info of the words, the vocabulary that you use, all that kind of stuff. You got, I love it. Linda says she has a mission statement. Malika's going to throw up a second. I love it. But I do want you to know, if you need more help with this, if you've never figured out your voice before, if you've never put it on paper before, I want you to start to figure this out. And there is that free class that's on demand and ready to go. You can watch. Here's an example of a student of mine who figured out her voice. she's got the most wonderful, this is her services booking page. So she is a letterpress and stationer. She and her husband run their business, and I love it. You guys are giving such great feedback. What I want you to see here, and again, I'm not going to read it just for the sake of time, but she has this Harry Potter, this Hogwarts nod on her services page. So she's making that brand promise to her potential brides, her potential couples, that she's saying, this is what my personality is like. This is kind of what you can get the feel of as you work with me. She's writing like she talks, just like Rachel said. When it comes to having this brand voice guide, y'all, I write copy. I couldn't even tell you how many words I write in a week, my team and I. Do you know what I have at the end of the day? A brand messaging style guide. Because if I don't have this, and this, you can screenshot this. This is my mission statement, our vision statement, our core values. We have a huge word bank in there. All these phrases that we use all the time. Because if my team and I don't have and I had this when it was just me, don't have this North Star to go back to, writing your templates, figuring out this voice, there's no central guiding thing pushing everything along. So it is so important. I love this, some of your feedback. And Brenda, that's not Laura Hooper. Laura Hooper's been a sweet client. That is, why am I blanking? Laura, I'm blanking. I'll come back later and tell you her first and last name. Paper and Honey. She's so great. Okay. This boils down to this. I'm about to get into a little bit more practical tips to hand you guys, but what we're talking about when we're saying branding from your voice to our visuals is just like what I said. It's giving your clients and customers that promise of what they can expect if they were to continue working with you. So you're giving them that little taste test, right? That little teaser about this is what it is like to continue to work with you. Once you figure out parts of those messaging, like we were talking about with your onlyness factor and bits of your voice and nailing that brand messaging style guide, then you get to go crazy with the templates that are in HoneyBook. Who else loves the templates? Anybody else like crazy about them? I think we have 31 in my business, and that was the end of last year. I think we've added more. But I love being able to figure out that brand voice, put it into all of our templates, and then we've got that really, yes, Courtney and Rachel, I love it. Pam, Animations MK. I don't know what your real name is, so I'm going to call you Animations. I love it. But yes, it's so, so helpful because I know that from the minute, and you can kind of see, let's see, can you see that? Even down to the subject line that's going out in the inquiry response email that everybody who fills out that HoneyBook form gets from me and my business, it's on voice. It's funny. It's witty. It gives them that touch point moment. It's a template. It's in there and we say it to everybody. But the fact that I could like figure it out, make it dang good and on our voice, and then be able to spit that out all the time, that means the world to me as a small business owner. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about before I hand it over? Oh, I want to give you one little kind of pro tip here. Let me hear from you in that chat. If you've got a, Bonsri, let me give you, I have a blog where I talked about how I made all the templates that go into our HoneyBook. That may help give you more ideas about things you can make templates. Like I'm telling you, HoneyBook's template feature, we are crazy about. Okay. I wanted to give you this little pro tip. Who has a contact form from HoneyBook on their website, or not even from HoneyBook? Who just has a contact form on their website where people can fill it out if they potentially want to work with you or book you? Let me know right now. I'm going to take a sip of water while you're doing that because I want to give you a quick tip about your inquiry email, how to make that better. I love it. I love it. Okay, we've got, great. Okay, here's the little tip that I want you to start doing. And here's another screenshotable file for you. Can you commit to me this week to giving a little makeover to your inquiry response email? Because the first thing I want you to do is literally copy and paste their problem back to them. In your form or in the email that they're sending to you, they are telling you exactly what their problem is and what they're having a hard time doing. I can't find anybody that has that light and airy style that lives in my area. Whatever, everything, we worked with another designer. Everything they did was just not us. They're telling me, say that back to them. I'm talking, when I say copy and paste, highlight, Control V, Control C, or whatever it is. Paste it in there, clean it up a little bit. But that's one thing that you want to do. I also, typically when I'm looking at students, inquiry responses, and clients, one thing I clean up with everybody, so I'm just going to throw this your way too, is on the TMI factor. Don't give them so much information. All you want to do is down to that next step, give them what they need to do next in the process, okay? A lot of times we overthink and we pack everything but the kitchen sink in that inquiry response. Boil it down, okay? I love doing triages on those, but that's one little tip for you. Okay, with all that said, Mac, I know that you want to show everybody some ins and outs of what this looks like in HoneyBook, so I'm going to hand it over to you to do that.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So I'm going to close down your slides here, Ashlyn, and I'm going to start sharing the HoneyBook account so you guys can see what we're talking about here. I think specifically, too, when we're talking about giving an incredible branding experience right away to clients, we've got a couple different options in HoneyBook. So one of the things that I want to show you guys first is called the client portal. So this is where, I mean, you might be familiar if you're using HoneyBook already with the ability to communicate through projects and workspaces. The client portal is like a very brand tailored version of that. It's really kind of a similar experience on the client side, except that it's going to be an actual hyperlink so they can like bookmark it, for example, or you can reference back to it in your email communication with them. So I'll show you guys how to get there. So first you're going to come up here and click on your cute little profile picture, come out down to company settings, and it actually has its own tab inside of company settings right here called client portal. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. I actually just set this up right before the call in our demo account. It was the easiest thing in the world. So if you haven't set it up already, when you come to this page, this bottom portion will kind of be grayed out and there will be a big button here that says claim URL. So you can actually customize this URL to kind of white label it to make it more like your brand. So I could make this say whatever I want to. So I can even see here that I can edit the URL. And then I can copy the link or share it directly. And then I can customize this screen too. So when I customize this, I'm just changing the background color and I can choose to show my logo or not. And this is basically the client's facing version of what they're going to see when they go to log into their workspace with you. It just gives them a consistent place where they can come back to view their workspace, which hopefully you guys are familiar with, but I'll dive into showing that a little bit too. So let's hop over here into this coaching session that I built out. So you guys are probably familiar, this is our workspace, right? So we can have our imagery up here at the top, which I know we're talking about visuals and branding and how to carefully choose your words and things like that. So we've got our imagery up here, which is the real fun part. And then the heavy lifting business push-ups that we're talking about is all this meat down here where we're actually communicating with the client, right? So if we're talking about when you actually send them their bookable file, it's all going to track through here in this messaging. This is the very generic HoneyBook template. So you probably aren't going to want to just send this. You're going to want to make it sound way more like you. So you can always edit that up in the templates like we were talking about. So this is just a great place for you to track all of your activity with your clients, right? So if we come up here to the top of the page, we can see we have 4 different tabs. So the details tab is fabulous for keeping track of everything that's going on with the event. You can actually customize these details in your company settings as well, you guys. So if you're not an events person and all of these details look very event specific, get rid of them. You can customize this. You can make it sound more like you. You can collect the information that's important to you here. So do yourself that favor and customize those things. You've got your about details. And by the way, I know Ashlyn was talking about the contact form. You guys can actually connect the contact form to auto-populate this details section. So don't forget that. That's a huge, huge time save for you guys. So definitely take advantage of that. This about section will populate with whatever kind of like questions they have for you or whatever. You can set it up that way. So their response will actually save here. And then in regards to having actual private notes for yourself, you can have this section down here. So this will be only visible to you and your team. So this is fabulous if you guys have a team that you're working with, other people you want to collaborate with. Those people will have a HoneyBook login. Will be able to come down here and see this too. So you can see I've left some notes here for my team member. I've been working with this gal. I finally locked in the deal. Here are the things she's interested in. Okay, so I'm letting my team know the conversations. It's like a cliff notes of what we've already talked about. So you can always go into the activity feed to read through all of our emails, but here's the gist of what I need my team to know, right? Sorry, I don't know if I'm scrolled quite far enough down the page for you guys to be able to see that, but you get the deal. So I'm going to scroll back up here. So yeah, activity feed. Obviously, this is where all of your copy is going to be coming in and showing all the details of what you're working on. If you want to collaborate even further with different team members or other vendors, you can come over here. This is a little bit more advanced, so you guys might not quite be here with your HoneyBook account, or if you're not a HoneyBook user, this might go right over your head, but bear with me here for a second. So these three little dots are a little bit hidden. I'm going to click Add Workspace. Okay, and now it gives me the ability to have multiple workspaces. So this right here is a workspace, and I can add additional workspaces as well. So maybe I'm someone who just likes to have everything in one place, and I just want to have a space where I myself can brainstorm ideas. It's still going to be under this master header of this project. So I know I'm still working with this client, or I'm still kind of talking about this project. This is where this work is happening, but this is a space where I'm just going to like send myself notes, or where I'm going to keep track of the details separately. And it's just a brainstorming space for yourself. Or I added one in here earlier with a team member. Okay, so you can have a team workspace as well. If I've got a gal who maybe she helps me out with my copywriting or something like that, and I want her insights, I can have a workspace where I go ahead and I send her an email. I'm like, hey, I've been working with Mac for this Wisely project here. You can see the other workspace in HoneyBook, and I was wondering if you had any insights. Great, right? So you reach out to somebody who you think maybe has a little bit more knowledge in the area than you do. You're reaching out to collaborate with them, but again, it's still all under this header. So many different ways you guys can get organized here in terms of really showcasing your brand. That client portal is hugely helpful. I think that was kind of all I wanted to touch on in regards to just organizing your work in the workspaces and the branding experience there. So I think I'm going to pass it back to you, Ashlyn.
Awesome.
You want to start sharing your slides again there.
And do you want to, Rachel has a good question right there. I may let you snag.
Let me scroll down to it. The one about photos?
Yes.
Okay.
Or the vendor workspaces.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it looks like Katie might have gotten on that other vendor workspace.
Okay, perfect.
Clients.
I know we love that feature, like just being able to because we'll have like designers hop in. I know a lot of us partner with each other to do different things. So
100%. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's drop down to this part. Okay, so the next part is part of the process is on the onboarding, moving people through what you do. So just to kind of give an overshot of what I think about with onboarding and your clients, who has been to Target before and like had that moment where you get to the checkout and you start to look at what's in your cart and you like slowly take some things and put them off. You're like, don't really need that. Like that happens to all of us, right? It's that buyer's remorse moment. But what it stinks, right? It's not fun to go through it, but it's definitely not fun to be on the receiving end of it where your clients are thinking, they're looking at what they've just bought and they're having that little bit of like sweaty moment where they think, holy cow, what did I just pay? Or what all am I getting? So I just want to talk about onboarding for a moment. Sandy says that all the time. I love it. Because something about you and your personality and your process appealed to them. So we really need to start to remind them of what that was in this process. There's three big reasons why I think onboarding is so important. The first is because the sale is not quite over. Like to me, the sale isn't over until I have offboarded them and they've referred me to somebody. Like that is when the project is over. So that's one reason I like to talk about this. The second is if things were to ever go awry, and I know you had somebody on to talk about legal recently, right, Mac?
Yeah, Paige, we love her.
Oh, love me some Paige. We were in a mastermind together. She's so great. But one thing that we always learn from, lawyers or attorneys we need that paper trail. We need to be able to show and trace, like we did communicate things to them accurately and so on and so forth. So that's a second big reason that onboarding is tremendously important. And a third is we want to give them that surprise and delight moment where we get them so excited and we just remind them again, you made the right decision. You're in good hands, so on and so forth. So here's a quick kind of snapshot of the onboarding anatomy that we take our clients through when they book with us. We tend to send that proposal, agreement, and contract all together in HoneyBook. Then, and like I said, we've already got those templates loading in. They're so these are like Ashlynisms, like as much personality, emojis, that I can pack here and give them that experience of working with me and my brand. I'm going to do that. Then from there, I'm going to move them into the welcome packet. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment as well. The questionnaire part of the process, again, I love that HoneyBook has those all automated for me so I can get those in. And then it's just a matter of communicating to them those next steps. So here's a quick kind of screen share so you can see. And like I said, I dropped calligraphy at the beginning of last year, but the first 3 full years I was in business, I was also doing calligraphy for brides. So you can kind of see a little snapshot of that inquiry response email. So we just talked about that, but I also wanted you to see they get this beautiful brochure that Mac will talk about those, right?
I don't think we're going to touch too much on brochure today. I'm going to quickly reference it because we're going to be talking about the proposal a lot, but yeah, absolutely preach all about it because we're obsessed.
Obsessed. I like, guys, I have, and I'm not even going to say who it is. There's a photo of somebody on my desk that I've wanted to work with for years. Finally, they reached out and we're going to work together. But when I sent them my HoneyBook proposal, they said back, this is the most beautiful proposal. I was so excited, and I just wanted to be like, that is a testament of how easy it was for them to just go through this. I don't want to like HoneyBook fangirl too hard, but that's why this stuff is important to me because I'm giving them that touch point experience. And this was a dream client to work with. So that you can see the copywriting and brand strategy collection. That's the brochure cover page that they see as they go through that. And then if they like what they see in this email, remember when I said I was talking to you about your inquiry response email, how you guys are so funny. Maybe we'll see what we have time to do. But what I want them to do is I want to have one clear call to action. My one call to action, I'm not saying like, if you like what you see, reach out. No, I'm saying after you review this, click here and find a time to talk with me that works with you and your busy schedule. Remember, I'm putting them first. So this inquiry response has literally one CTA and that's it. So I'm getting them to look at this magazine and I'm getting them to come over and book that time. The next thing, if they liked that, and if we do end up our kickoff call, our consultation, our coffee date, whatever you want to call it, goes well, they move to this part in the process. You can see too, we have to, maybe I'm anal or we just have too many templates, but I literally have to label every single template that we have in HoneyBook because like I said, we have a gajillion. So the BS is brand story. We have like multiple collections that we offer. B Story 1. So I know that right after they book, they get B Story 1. It's their welcome email, and then they also get this welcome packet. We use HoneyBook's brochures feature to also send along this because it's just easier that way. Yeah. So they get this packet that walks them through exactly what they need to do like as we work together, basically. And I was given this advice by my attorney, and I thought it was incredible advice, so I'll pass it along. But she said, whatever is in your contract, try to say that to them. And like your contract is all that like kind of jargony way, but you want to say that back to them in a super client facing way in here. So whereas your contract just says the things like, this is how you communicate, we will not receive text messages between, whereas this, I kind of, polish it up and I say the best way to get in touch with me is never over text. My texts are back up, like I'm saying it in another way. Yeah. All this to say, your onboarding is so important because it's that glass of champagne toast that you're giving people when they come into your brand. Like I said, the sale isn't over until we've finished working together and they've referred me to somebody. That's when I know I've done a good job and I've like truly sealed the deal and closed the sale. And onboarding is such a cool chance to be able to step into it, like show your client, they're looking to you to be the leader. They usually have not gone through this process before. They're paying a lot of money for it. They need you to lead them, and you can do a really good job with that if you onboard them well. And that goes with, and I know this is where, Mac, I think you're going to talk a little bit more about the branding, but being able to load all of that into HoneyBook, making sure that you've gone through your workflow, gone through your workflow. I feel like every 5 times we do a process, we rewrite our workflow out. Like we go back in and we make sure we added anything. Do we need to add anything? Did we get some feedback from a client that so-and-so wasn't clear and we need to add that back in? This is a little quick screenshot too of what some of our workflows look like loaded in the HoneyBook, but I'll hand it over, Mac, to you so you can show a little bit more of the ins and outs there, but I wanted to take y'all a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, totally. That was so much info. I saw some people were asking too, is it going to be available for replay? So yes, the recording, this exact URL will turn into a recording as soon as I end the broadcast in about 30 minutes. So yeah, don't worry at all. It'll be here for you guys. You can come straight back to this page or just refresh the page and it'll be a replay button. So that's how you can get some of the screenshots and stuff Ashlyn's been referencing to if you missed the slide. Amazing. Okay, I am going to hop into showing you guys. Ashlyn just covered a ton of amazing features, so I want to make sure that I get the chance to show you guys some of those things. So I'm going to hop back into our HoneyBook account here. And let me full screen it for everybody. Amazing. Okay, so Ashlyn was talking about how in her initial process, she makes it very clear the call to action is scheduling a call once she sends her kind of pricing information, her pricing packet. She's like, if you see what you like, here's where you schedule a call. So how you would do that, actually, HoneyBook released a scheduling feature earlier this year. So hopefully you guys were able to check that out. And I can kind of show you what it looks like. It is super easy to set up. If you guys are already familiar or using some kind of external scheduler, this probably won't look too different to you. The setup is really similar. So I actually already have a couple different session types set up here inside of my demo account. So I've got this 15-minute consultation. I've got a 30-minute phone chat. So depending on, you know, I know we have a lot of photographers on here today. So if you want to use this to kind of help you book your sessions or something, you can totally do that too. So, you know, like all of your engagement sessions are 1-hour sessions or something. Absolutely use this to do that. And you know, you only like to do those at dusk Friday through Monday or something. You can set up all those different parameters in here. And you'll also want to make sure that your Google Calendar is connected over here as well. So you can see my Google Calendar is not actually connected in this account. HoneyBook is a little bit tricky where you have to connect Google in a couple different places. So just make sure that it's connected there. And then you can come over to your scheduler and add in a new session type and set that up. So just to give you guys a kind of like broad, big picture of how this is going to work on the client side, I actually have a tab open over here, which you probably can't see because I'm sharing one specific tab. But basically, the way it's going to work on the client side is they only can see your available time slots. So it's not like they're viewing your whole Google Calendar and they can see that you're having lunch with mom tomorrow or anything like that. It's literally just going to be your available time slots. So if you have 1-hour sessions 3 days a week, and then you also have lunch with mom, so that time block isn't available, that's how it's going to be from the client perspective. So I think it might be kind of valuable for me to actually show that really quickly. So let me stop sharing that just to show you guys, because I know we're talking about how we're visual people. And the biggest question I get asked all the time is, what are my clients going to see? So I want to take a second just to share that other tab and show you guys, because I think it's really, really important. So right away, I mean, this whole concept right now that we're talking about is branding your brand voice, making sure that you look as professional as possible and you're a total expert from the get-go with your clients. So on this page, we're seeing, I have my client portal set up, right? We talked about that earlier in the webinar. So because that's set up, now it's branded actually on the scheduling page as well. So right away, branding consistent. I've got my logo up here. They can see my business name. They can see what they're signing up for, the duration of this. They can book, a couple of days out, and they're just seeing the available time slots. Okay, so these are all my brand colors that I've set up inside my account as well. So it's really straightforward for them. They're going to choose a time. They go through here. They just enter in. So you control these details too, you guys. They can leave any comments here. They click continue. It's going to require them to fill information in, and eventually it'll end them up on a landing page, which you can control the messaging of. So again, another opportunity to be consistent with your branding message and your brand voice, which we've talked so much about today. So I'm going to stop sharing that and go back to sharing my other tab where we were actually setting it up, just so you guys can get a feel. So let me show you. Let me full screen it again. So if we want to go in and say I want to edit this, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what it looks like. This is obviously an already set up session, but it works absolutely the same if you're starting from scratch. Okay, so I get to title my session. I get to choose what type of session it is. Is it in person? Are we meeting at Starbucks? Probably not. We're all in quarantine. Are we meeting over video? Probably. So you can choose these different options here. You've got different time zones. So this is, your time zone. Obviously, you want to make sure that aligns. with your exact time zone, and that your Google Calendar is synced up too. That way everything is correct. So if you notice any weird issues with timing on the calendar, it probably is based off of this time zone here. So you just want to make sure that you go back in and adjust that. I know that was kind of a sticky point for some people when they were initially onboarding to the tool. We got a lot of questions about it, so keep that in mind. You've got your instructions here. So this will appear upon confirmation and in reminders. So this is what I was talking about, where you can continue your brand story and your brand voice. So definitely use these different opportunities to consistently be plugging in your voice so your clients can really see who you are. I think especially now, when we're all doing things a little bit more virtually, it's like a way to reach through the screen and like introduce yourself, and really, like Ashlyn was saying, like it's that champagne toast when they're coming through the door, even though they're not actually coming through the door of your home. You're welcoming them in as a new client and giving them that really extraordinary experience, which is everything that we're talking about today. So yeah, this is all good. You guys just come down here and edit the availability like I was talking about, which will cross-reference with your Google Calendar availability. So that's why I mentioned having that set up. So all those parameters will pull in to what your client sees. You can set buffers for yourself, which means time between each meeting. So if you know that you like 15 minutes between each meeting, or maybe you actually want more like an hour between each meeting, you can do that there. Notice is how much time in advance. So like, are you letting them book like 2 days out, or do you need 24 hours, or is it just 2 hours? So that's the notice there. Custom increments is how many time sessions they can actually see at once. So if you have the whole day open, do they have a whole big long list of all of the times, or do you just want them to see like 30-minute or 1 hour increments instead? And then team members, which we've talked a little bit about today. This is really helpful if you guys want to keep your team members in the loop. It's really easy to do that. So you can say, hey, I want this to be put on my calendar, but I also want my main girl to be on the calendar as well. And you can go ahead and add her here. And then confirmations, again, this is an opportunity to plug in your brand voice, right? So you can customize these. Some of this is set in stone, just so we make sure that things don't get too messy and you're actually still able to convey the session that's been scheduled. But you can also go ahead and add in a little bit more of an opportunity to really make it sound like you and to really be communicating more personally with them in this aspect. So that is the scheduling. And let me hop into here. I want to show you guys the proposal. I know we talked about a couple different files, or Ashlyn was talking about brochure. We talked about workflows. We talked about scheduling. We talked about templates. I think the main file that you guys will find a benefit from is that proposal file. That was the one that Ashlyn was talking about, was able to get her booked with that client that she's been wanting to work with for forever. So this is a huge wow factor with clients. And I think it's something that's pretty unique to HoneyBook as a platform as a whole as well. It's giving your clients the opportunity to see what they're receiving from you, pay you, and sign a contract with you all in one file. So if you're someone who's sending contracts and invoices separately, this is the file that's going to bring it all together in one place for you. So I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. So obviously, like with any file in HoneyBook, you're coming over to new file. We're going to choose proposal. And you can work off of a template, or you can just work from scratch. If you guys choose the blank option, it's still going to give you the 3 pages. So it'll have the place where you can add in your services and pricing. It'll have the payment plan, and it'll have a contract, and you can pull from different templates there. So it'll pull in your packages, for example, to the first page. So starting from blank doesn't necessarily mean you're totally starting from scratch. I think I actually see a majority of people do it that way. But just for the sake of time today, I am going to start from a template, which keeps things super simple. This means, you know, it kind of works in a brochure the same way. Brochures are usually a file that you're just sending right away without having to edit at all, because it's just your pricing and that's just what it is. Nothing is really customized probably at that point. So this makes it really easy when you're working off of a proposal. So we're seeing, again, we've got our branding up here. We've got our logo. We have, we're doing monthly coaching with this client. We have the payment schedule here, which we can always customize. So it's really easy there. We can even set up recurring payments. So if you're someone who has like monthly recurring billing there, and then we have our contract details down here filling in. It'll let me know if there's stuff that I need to fill in on my side too, so I can go ahead and do that. This is all relatively probably looking like what you guys are already familiar with. So that's good. If you're someone who is not taking advantage of the smart fields in the contracts, I definitely recommend that. It's a huge time save. Next, review email. This is going to give me the ability to send it off to my client. And this is where Ashlyn was talking about, again, adding in your brand voice. This proposal is going to be living in the email template section. So if you go tools, templates, emails, this email that always is going to populate in here is called proposal default. Okay. And that's going to be the one that auto populates in here every single time you go to send a proposal. You can always obviously choose a new one. So I know Ashlyn's got all those amazing templates in there. It's really easy to scroll through here and just find the proper email and choose that. It'll just pull right in. But if you're someone who just has one email template that you send to all your clients at the time of booking, just make sure you edit that proposal default email and you'll be good to go. So that's where you would send that off. And I know we talked briefly about brochures, so I just want to show you guys really quick. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. So it's an incredible branding tool. I think I just want to quickly, I think the best way to kind of introduce it to you guys is just by saying, if you're someone who uses PDFs in your business, you can use HoneyBook brochures. It's going to be an interactive version of communicating with your clients. So not only will it be able to showcase your pricing, it'll be able to collect information from them so they can actually indicate what packages they're interested in. So they kind of build their own proposal in some ways. It's like adding items to their shopping cart somehow. You can add questions in there, so it can have a questionnaire functionality as well. I know we had a question come in the chat. Can the welcome guide include questions? Absolutely. If you're using the HoneyBook brochure, use that welcome guide as a way to communicate with them, but also collect information from them if that's something that you want to use it for. And again, a huge opportunity to not only introduce them to a very visual, beautiful intro to your business, but there's also huge opportunity here to communicate your brand and who you are as a business owner to your clients as well. So my photographers love this for showing pictures, but you can also absolutely use it to showcase tons of other content. So I know we're getting close on time here, but I just wanted to quickly show that to you guys. And I know we want to have some time to answer questions here at the end. So Ashlyn, I'm going to pass it back to you really quickly.
Thanks. I don't really have too much else. I wanted to make sure that we have time to talk. Just a quick note on what you did. I talk a lot to clients and students about price anchoring. You've got to show people the value of what you do before you show them that price. Because whether you're doing that on your services page and before they're scrolling, and then they get to the price, you've got to make it so when they get to the price of what you do, the price is borderline arbitrary because you've shown them the value of everything that you can do, how you can help them and how you can serve them. So think of your brochure that Mac just showed just like that. Like our pricing is it's like a 24, 25 page document. Our pricing is at the end but at the beginning, we talked about like all of our testimonials, our work, our portfolio. This is exactly what we want to do for you. When we're working together, this is our vision, so on and so forth and all this. And then we get to that end. So I just can't say how much I am a big believer in that brochure. I think it just really helps people understand the value that it costs to work with you. And then they get to kind of, like you said, shopping cart it and figure out what they want, what pieces of that actually fit them.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like that file is just so diverse. You guys, if you guys haven't spent the time to explore it, I really would like to encourage you to do that. We actually have an HB 102 webinar on it as well, where we just go through how to set up a brochure. So you guys can always sign up for that too. But yeah, I mean, from collecting questions to showcasing pricing to, I mean, it could literally be 25 pages, like Ashlyn said. Like it can be a hugely powerful document. Like an example that comes to head. I was working with a client who does senior portraits exclusively, and she sent over a PDF that was probably 40 pages long, and we set it up as a brochure together. And it is like the most amazing, like because she'll have like a full page that's a beautiful photo, right? And then so that's how she's conveying her value, because she's showing these beautiful pictures that she takes, and she has all these testimonials, and she had Instagram shout outs that she had gotten from her clients, and it was just like this super powerful doc. And then just like you're saying, at the end she had her pricing information, and it was like, she charges a lot, but she does an amazing job. And she has all these different options for sending out like all the different invites and announcements and things like that too. And it was just like, I could just see as a mom or as a senior going through that and just being like, oh my gosh, of course. get as much as I can from this.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll say too, Mac, don't be afraid to remember this copy. If you've said something really well on your about page or on your services page, our clients and customers spend 15 seconds-ish on our websites. Raise your hand if you spend like an hour a day in your web. Like, I feel like I'm always like tweaking something, or like it's up in the background and I'm messing with it. Like, we forget we're always there. Yeah. Our people aren't. So don't be afraid to literally copy and paste. Like, if you've got, like, include that about page bio in your portfolio, include your core values in there. If your services, like your services page walks them through a lot of the process, put that in this brochure too. There's no reason to say it one and done, because they're probably interacting with that piece of copy once. So why not put it in front of them again?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it kind of like feeds into more of that brand consistency too, right?
Yeah.
Because they might have read it once, but maybe they're shopping around and then they get back to you and they end up booking with you, but they forget that that was your mission statement or whatever. But the more you put it in front of them, the more they're reminded of the type of person that they're working with, and the more they're going to trust you. I love that.
So good.
Cool. I'm going to start to kind of scroll through some questions here. I did get one question way from earlier at the beginning of the webinar that I think is pointed towards you, Ashlyn. So I just want to read through a couple of these. What resources have helped you with client success, especially in these challenging times? Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah. So one thing that we did right out of the gate is, and remember, I'm a copywriter, so we help our clients and students figure out how to position and message their brand, from their website copy to their launch funnels, sales pages. So anything that has to do with the words that you're using to communicate your brand, that's what we do. One thing that we did right out of the gate, the minute that COVID came, is I realized, and I've done some talks on this on my YouTube channel, but I just had a moment where we were like, okay, clear some time. And we sent out an email to all of our past clients and said, hey, these are some resources that we've created. So we linked them to those. And then we just kind of offered services for a little bit for free. I said, if you need me to do an audit of a sales page right now, or if you've got some ads that you're running that you're not sure if the messaging is right because you don't want to sound sleazy right now, just send it over. And I would just sit there on Thursdays and record video, and just get these back to people. So that's one thing. And then, of course, but it's not why we did it. But of course, on the back end, we booked because people were like, you know what, we need some more of this. And so little things like that was really helpful. And I know that won't apply for every single industry that's here. But that was one thing that was just, yeah. Does that help, give an example of some of the proactive things we're doing?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly who the question was from, just because Kate's reading to me here. But yeah, feel free to chime in the chat if that was you who asked that question. Let's see what else. What tools do you use for client success, like NPS score, etc.?
Like NPS score? What's that?
NPS score is something that companies use. I don't actually know what the acronym stands for. Maybe someone in our chat can let us know, but it's basically like a health score with your clients, like how satisfied are they with the services they're receiving?
So I've got a curriculum side of my business and customers, and we do more of this kind of stuff in a tool called Keep or Infusionsoft for our clients. That's just for the agency side of my business. So really for that, our NPS score is going to be at the end of it when we ask them for their testimonial. So part of the offboarding process, we have a goodbye packet. Again, it looks just like another brochure that you go through where we link them to all of that. But we also have teed up in there an email that says we're going to follow up with you. And we have a HoneyBook workflow trigger that does it a month after, and it asks them for their feedback. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. I want to get to a point where we're also pushing them, instead of just that form to fill out, like a Google. I think if they have a Google review that they I want to get more strategic about how I can send people to different things that I want them to fill out. Yeah. But as far as the client side of my, and I know that's confusing, but as far as the client side of my business, my NPS is if I get a testimonial or not. So that's how I do that.
I love that. Cool. Let's see what else here. Do you know how you can get clients to fill out surveys? It sounds like that's kind of what we were just talking about, especially with email overwhelm these days. So yeah, how do you make sure that your clients do that?
Yes. Okay. One thing I think I have seen it right now. I've talked to small businesses right now. They want to help small businesses. If you're not asking right now for people to fill out surveys, ding, 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 put your antennas up and start doing it. Because I think people are really looking for a way, like you've seen people in the past few months buying gift cards and like, how can they start to support us and help us? This is a huge way. And you can just come right out and say it, like, this would help me immensely right now. So this is your time. Put that on, like bump, if it's on your to-do list right now, you've been thinking, I really need to get some better testimonials or send some surveys out. It is time to go, because people I have found are super willing. I think that, so there's a difference, I think, in filling out a testimonial response versus a survey. If they're filling out a survey, I like to give them a thank you. And whether it is entering them for a survey. So if you're trying to do client research or marketing research and figure out how do they want you to sound and all that kind of stuff. I would say, that at least in my business, I do a $500 Amazon gift card. You could do $100, you could do $5, something like that to tell them thank you. If you're doing a smaller pool, maybe 10 people, $5 Starbucks gift card each, send it out digitally. Like, I really think I have seen people are more likely to fill out a research survey if you give them an opportunity to get something. It could also be a free wallpaper download or a set of 5 stock images. Like, think what's in your arsenal that maybe wouldn't cost you if you're at that point. And then when it comes to the testimonial side, because I think that's a little bit different, and I wouldn't like try to bait them with anything. Just following up, and then maybe this is sneaky, but like being active with them on Instagram, like just reminding them that you're there. They'll probably remember that. I like to use, in my business, we use Typeform for surveys, for market research surveys and stuff. And we use HoneyBook's internal questionnaire feature for testimonial surveys with our clients.
Awesome. Love it. Cool. Sean likes the HoneyBook questionnaires too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. People want to know, what other resources have helped you with practical tips about sales?
Me?
Yeah.
That's what I studied in college. That's what I did for a living. So I probably, if anything, I struggle with ask me what tools I use for like brand photography and stock imagery and design and website, because that's the kind of stuff that is a little bit more it doesn't come naturally to me. I have to work really hard at it. Yeah.
Okay. How would you recommend selling an online course, especially in these challenging times?
Oh my gosh, we're in the middle of the best launch I've ever had. Do not be afraid to sell right now. Meet people where they are. Try to figure out, I was talking about this with my friend Casey Graham. Like, what happened is Tide, we're in the right place to talk about tides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the tide went out on so many of us with small businesses. And again, this is not my idea. This is Casey's. Okay, there's a Warren Buffett quote that talks about like,